Welcome to Reaching New Muskegon Heights with Troy Bell, the city manager, City of Muskegon Heights, every Wednesday at 2 p.m., where you get to know what you need to know so you'll be in the know. So thanks again for tuning in, whether you're clicking on to watch or whether you are listening on the radio. I do appreciate everybody and all the support that we get for people who are following the show. It's awesome, again, to hear the messages back and forth during the week, intervening comments that I get back from the show. And I appreciate everybody that takes the time and takes the interest to be able to participate in the show or to follow up with comments from the show. I can't tell you how valuable it is or helpful it is to be able to get a comment from a fellow, from a community pastor member who is just calls to say, hey, I like what you're doing on the show. Just keep up the work. I like the work that you're doing in the community. Stay on the path. And so sometimes when you're in the middle of the storm, whether it be a hurricane or a tornado, and you're trying to stay on course, it's difficult to be able to follow a particular course. So it's helpful when people, chime in and say, hey, you need to adjust your direction this way or that way, or you're on the right path, and stay on the path. So I appreciate all those people that have commented and given me constructive suggestions. So keep it coming. So I'm excited today to do the show again. We're going to go through updates. We'll do the Rise with Pride small business focus. And then we're going to talk some more about houses. There's been a lot of press out there recently about this. I mean, it's been a long haul coming. So we're going to touch on that. And then based on whatever time is left, we'll go into some additional tidbits that are, I think might be helpful for you to know here in the community of the beautiful community of Muskegon Heights. So I want to welcome to the show today our small business highlight and welcome Dartanya Hayes. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for joining the show. So did I pronounce it right? Is it Dartanya? Dartanya?
Yes.
Dartanya. Okay, beautiful. So, and I will bring in Dartanya when we get to the Rise with Pride. But first, I want to get some updates out of the way. This Monday coming up is the council meeting. So you get to hear all this extra stuff, Dartanya.
Yeah.
Council meeting this Monday, 5:30, council chambers. You can come in person or you can Zoom, either one. I encourage you to come into chambers if you can. We use social distancing, and we're still asking people to mask because we are, even though the pandemic is waning in many ways, we want to be vigilant and diligent so that we can stamp it out and not let it reverb and come back on top of us. So I will go into a little bit more about the council, the actual agenda for the meeting later in more detail. But I also want to mention, if you hadn't noticed this, it was 5 o'clock shadow. It's about 10 o'clock shadow right about now. But that is in honor of Beards for Books. It's a United Way fundraiser that I'm participating in order to raise funds for children's books. The United Way has taken up the campaign to send a new book to children each month for a 12-month period. And these are children that are in multiple counties, including Muskegon. And so I am part of the effort to raise money. And our goal is to be able to sponsor as many children for an entire year as possible. So I encourage you to go out to the city's website, to Facebook, and mostly this campaign is driven on Facebook where you can contribute. And what you get to see over the course of 30 days from March 1st to March 30th is multiple pictures of me and the progress of, one, shaving off my beard that I've had for many years, and two, see, I should have gotten you involved in this, the the painful process of letting it grow back in. And ultimately on March 31st, we all get together and shave it off once we end the fundraiser. So hopefully we'll get enough people to reach our goal this year by March 31st. On March 31st, either they will do we'll be at two barbershops, Crew downtown Muskegon, and also Classic Cuts in Muskegon Heights. So welcoming Classic Cuts to the program. So I'm excited that they're going to be able to participate and we just had them in last week as part of the Small Business Highlight, that they will be a part of making this fundraiser happen. Also, I want to mention that National Forum for Black Public Administrators, NFBPA, organization that represents all of the men and women of color who are city managers across the country. I used to be a member of their board, and they are having their annual forum, which is the big event for this organization, and it happens to be in Grand Rapids this year. And so it will be from March 30th to April 3rd. And like I said, it includes city managers, city administrators, county managers, county administrators. So from some of the major cities in the country that you wouldn't even realize, 3,000 folks across the country that are people of color, that are in leadership positions in public service and public administration, all convene for this conference once a year. And this year, we're happy to welcome them to Grand Rapids. So in addition to city managers, you have public works directors and various other department directors. They have several events. I encourage you to go out and look at their website, nfbpa.org, I believe it is. But if you Google NFBPA, N as in Nancy, F as in Frank, B as in boy, P as in Papa, A as in Alpha, it'll give you all the information you need of the events and the agenda. So I encourage you to participate in the conference. Lots of good information. And for me personally, it was just a beautiful experience from the day that I became a member of the organization as a young aspiring city manager to be in the midst of the first ever African-American city manager for the city of San Diego, and for the county San Diego, as well as Texas, Dallas, Texas, one of the largest cities that has a city council manager form of government, has an African-American city manager, and Austin, Texas, and the former city manager for Austin, Texas is now the executive director for the ICMA, which is the International County City Managers Association. And so he's the first African American to ascend to that position, and now is a part of, setting policy, organizational goals for the entire practice of city manager, public administration across the country and internationally. So just a great group of folks to be in contact with and to be aware and to learn about all the different things that folks are trailblazing out there, that we would otherwise not hear anything about or not be aware of. So again, that's March 30th to April 3rd in Grand Rapids at the Amway Grand. So please put that on your calendar, and if you can get out there and participate, that would be great. Remind everybody, April 1st is around the corner, and we're kicking off our big cleanup again. And our motto, our slogan for this year is "Beautify the Heights, Help Fight the Blight." And so we really are pushing again to make sure that we start off this year with a intentional and powerful effort to clean up our entire community and show the beauty of Muskegon Heights. Update on Sherman and Peck, the Shops on Sherman project. That's going to be beginning demolition here probably in 30 to 45 days on the corner of Peck and Sherman. So make any arrangements that you be prepared to make arrangements to avoid that area when that demolition starts. And that's an exciting moment. Again, that's a $4.5 million project. $1 million to clean up the site, $3.5 million plus to build new retail with residential above at that location. I think that's going to change the whole face of that corner. So I'm excited that that's coming to Muskegon Heights. Big things coming. All these pieces are finally starting to fall into place. I thought that back in 2020, we would have some of these things kicking off, no later than the end of 2020, but COVID had another idea. So what's on the corner of Peck and Sherman now? That's used to be the LA Insurance, right?
LA
right.
Insurance.
That building, I don't know how long that building has been vacant, but that property has been vacant for years, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So that's exciting that project is moving forward, and then of course houses, and we'll come back to that. So those are some of the quick updates, but I want to pause now and do our Rise with Tiger Pride small business spotlight. And Dartanya has been kind enough to accept an invitation to talk about his venture as a small business. So let's go ahead and start with that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Hayes.
Okay. Well, before I start, I'd like to thank the mayor and the board for voting this in, and I would like to thank Carrie for the inspection department and
Mr. Morrow. Yep.
Yes, Mr. Morrow and his department, and I want to give a special thanks out to you for bringing this to us and to giving us a chance, because anybody can come through and move in and take over. So I just like to give you real kudos for that.
I appreciate it, but it's just a matter of doing what makes sense and is in the best interest of our community. So
yes.
I'm happy that I was able to be in a position to make that happen.
Okay. So about me, I'm born and raised in Muskegon Heights. I'm 59 years old, so I'm born and raised and still
a young 59, huh?
Yes, and still stay in the Heights. And so I went to Muskegon Heights High School, sports and all that, play sports and everything. But
which sports did you play?
Played football.
Okay.
Yeah.
What position?
Linebacker.
All right.
Was pretty good at it too.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I was a running back, so you were the linebacker that I was trying to avoid getting hit by.
Oh yes. So yeah. That's basically it. And just been working, and I was working at Seal Power for a while.
Okay.
And now I'm working somewhere else right now. So.
Well, it's been my experience. I grew up playing baseball, basketball, and football. Yes, basketball. So for those people who have all the short jokes, yeah. So, but baseball, basketball, football, and when basketball went by the wayside because we didn't have the 3-point line back then.
Right.
So shooting two-point jumpers from out there wasn't a lot of value. Right. I shifted over to tennis, but the point, yeah, exactly, a little bit less.
I was a wrestler too. So
oh, really?
I wrestled in high school and football.
Man, I got respect for you guys to get on that mat because I'm claustrophobic.
Oh yeah.
Playing football when there was a pile, I was trying to get out of that pile as fast as I could. So wrestling, but what I learned a lot, what I learned looking back on it was the value of teamwork, and that's something that you can usually see, not necessarily for everybody, but you can usually see a difference in those people who have played sports and been part of team sports and their whole approach and outlook on life and how they interact with other people, particularly when you got to rely on somebody else, your teammates, to be successful.
That's right. Yep.
So that explains a lot about you, and I didn't realize that, and now I understand it all fits together.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So and my mom went to Muskegon Heights too,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom, my uncles, and my aunties, we all from here. My grandmother is from Arkansas, so but we
Mm-hmm.
all went to school here. So, and my mom still stay in the Heights.
All
So
right.
we
You got roots,
yeah,
long-term
we got
roots.
roots here.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. So, well, the reason why I wanted you to be part of the small business spotlight is because of the fact that you were one of the successful applicants for micro business license. And so I know that we're coming up pretty soon on the opening of the micro businesses in Muskegon Heights. So I wanted you to share with the community, what was your motivation for wanting to be a micro business license holder?
Well, my motivation was I wanted to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been working for everybody all my life, working for
Mm-hmm.
all different kinds of companies, and I think there was an opportunity for that. So that's why I ended up getting into it, and yes, that's why I ended up in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So it was a small business opportunity. In particular, why cannabis? I mean, what was the motivator for cannabis?
Well, Canada, I don't see anything wrong with it. I never heard of nobody dying from it or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so to be honest with you, back in the day when I was a kid, I used to sell it,
Okay. All right.
and I didn't see why not.
Mm-hmm.
It came forward, and then why not?
Well, I really appreciated the way the state of Michigan approached this. And maybe it's that they learned from the other states that were blazing the trail on this, but understanding the disproportionate impacts that law enforcement and the laws had on communities of color in terms of their enforcement of infractions associated with cannabis. And beginning to understand, at least in in, um, in theory, the notion that here we are with uh, cannabis that has been proven to be less harmful than alcohol, and
Yes,
yet alcohol is completely legalized. And what are the dynamics as to why that's legal and cannabis was not?
correct.
All the profit centers that are associated with alcohol that are protected because of those profit centers in
Right.
terms of legislation and laws, and why not cannabis?
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
um, so were you part of the social equity program that the state put together?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay,
was.
excellent.
Hmm.
And that I think is a key part, that they recognized that there needed to be social equity when they put this statute together, that recognized those people who may have received infraction citations or sentences associated with cannabis, and offering those people who had that experience a way to be part of the industry that was then generated out of what previously was the threat of incarceration.
Right. That's right. So yeah, because there's a lot of us been locked up for that and got a
Hmm.
long period of time for that. So
Right,
and
right.
like you was saying that alcohol is one of the biggest killers of
Hmm.
all of us.
Right.
So and it's just taking us away. So
Hmm.
why not cannabis?
And what many folks might not realize is that there are structural and systemic aspects of the way the law dealt with marijuana, because marijuana in some people's mind was seen as a drug of choice for people of color, whereas cocaine was not. And at some point in time, the laws were even more severe for marijuana than they were for cocaine use,
Yes, it was.
which
Yes, it
is
was. Yeah,
ridiculous.
and that was ridiculous. And
Hmm.
it hit in the inner city a lot. So
That's right.
so it hit us a lot, quite a bit.
Right. And it seemed like it was surgically designed to hit with intensity in urban centers.
Yeah, I have a theory on it, but just a theory. So
All right. Well,
yeah,
we're gonna have to
yeah,
sit down and break bread over that at some point in time.
right.
All right. Well, can you share with our listeners and our viewers what you feel like has been, the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome to get to this point where you're on the verge of opening? And I'm not sure if you're in a position to give us an idea of when you might be opening, how soon that would be,
Yes,
and the
yes,
location.
yes. This summer, and the location is on Broadway, East Broadway, 175 West
Hmm.
Broadway,
Okay.
and so everything's going right now. So I'm
Hmm.
designing to open up this summer. And what uh, kind of got me going a little bit is I'm doing this out of my pocket, so I
Uh-huh.
didn't go get a loan.
All right. And it's
And
hard to get one
yeah,
because
it's hard to get one for that. So
cannabis is still
I
not
didn't get no
federally
loan.
legal.
So
Hmm.
all my coming out of my pocket with it and out of my savings. And
Well, I
so
noticed that you had some pretty big pockets when you came in, but I don't know if you had the hundreds.
oh, but it's working out pretty well. So
Hmm.
and then had to purchase a building that was needed a lot of work on it. So
Right.
and got it looking pretty decent right now.
Hmm.
And so it's coming right along. So it's scheduling. So it's going to be sometime this summer.
All right. Well, that's exciting to hear that we're right around the corner from seeing that come to realization. And I will say that the improvements that have been made to your building so far have really refreshed the area that you're working in, and so that is a welcome change. And to be
Yes,
able to create an industry virtually out of nothing that then injects this type of investment in our community means a lot to the community.
correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how many jobs do you expect will be created as a result of when you open?
Well, it should be somewhere between like about 7 to 10
Okay.
people that's going to be hired. And when I say I'm hiring my own, I'm hiring the Heights. I'm hiring out of the Heights.
Mm-hmm.
It might be occasionally one or two people from from a different area, but most of my people is going to be from the Heights.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
That's excellent. And that's a rising tide raises all ships. And again, what I appreciate about what's going on with this whole endeavor is that it is bringing investment of money and time and effort into the community, but it's also bringing opportunities for people in the community to obtain jobs, learn a trade, expertise,
Yes.
and to grow um, where there was nothing before. Yeah,
Yes.
and I use that term "grow" intentionally.
That's what it's doing. Yes.
So, for those people who might not know what a micro business is, can you explain what's unique and different about a micro business?
Well,
While you're doing that, I lost my monitor here, so I can't see you or anybody who might be commenting. So, hopefully, we've got some technical assistance that will help.
okay. You
Keep
want me to
going,
keep
though.
going?
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
micro is I got my licenses is to grow and to sell.
Hmm.
So I'm doing it all in one building. The growing in one part of the building and got a store in the other part of the building. So that's a
Okay.
part of our micro business.
So you've got grow, process, and you have the ability to retail.
Yes.
Hold on a second here.
Okay. Yeah.
So a micro business, because you've combined all three phases, the grow process, the grow step, the
Mm-hmm.
processing. What's involved in processing?
Well, the processing is really is almost like picking. You know, I'm picking. Um,
Hmm.
Let me see. I'm trying to put this in a term like a garden. You know,
Okay.
when you're picking your fruits off, and
Okay.
it's like it's a process of picking them
Hmm.
off, growing them,
Hmm.
and picking them off, and then letting them sit a while, and then packages for sale.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking the raw product, and then either preparing it for edibles or extraction for oils or for,
Correct.
right. Okay.
Correct.
And then you have within the micro business license the right to be able to do retail.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those that might be unfamiliar, again, the micro business wraps all three of those things in, but it limits the number of plants that you can work with to, was it 150 plants?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And I know that there's some discussion in legislation about expanding that,
Correct.
because
Mm-hmm.
by limiting your number to 150, that limits your production, and then based on your production, what your revenues could be, and therefore, whether or not your operation can be viable with the cost associated with getting your product to market. So
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
uh,
And competing with these other ones that's in the downtown area. So
mhm.
if they allow us to grow more, we'll be able to compete with the bigger companies.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those, like the Class C license, just to grow is 5,000 plants, and
Mm-hmm.
the process is 5,000 plants. So those are the massive operations which use the economy of scale. But by the legislature creating the micro business opportunity, the license cost is lower,
Yes.
the startup costs are lower, and so that was an effort to give the small operators access to the business. And so the jury is still out on whether or not this statute gave the sufficient resources for businesses to be able to really be viable. I think some of the cords might be loose in the back. Viable to be able to operate um, and be profitable,
Yes.
right? But one other thing that I'd like to touch on before we wrap up on the highlight is, what you mentioned in the beginning that was unique about, well, I think it was unique, and we've been told this across the state about the city of Muskegon Heights approach to the ordinance. And I appreciate that you thank the mayor and the council, because I think it was visionary what they were able to approve, which
Yeah.
is this notion that 40% of the ownership should come from people who live in the community.
Correct.
And by following that pattern or that model or that template, I think we ended up with 12 out of 18 licenses that ended up with um, a significant 40% or more, yeah, 40% or more people of color,
Mm-hmm.
um, female participation as well. And I mean, not to mention that these people are coming from Muskegon Heights that are
Yes.
participating. And so, therefore, what we are what we are getting is we are now investing in the people again in Muskegon Heights, and that doesn't include the MyVita part. Um,
Correct.
and so the MyVita is the Marijuana Industry Voluntary Economic Development Agreement. That's a lot.
Correct. That's a lot.
But that is another groundbreaking piece, which other communities um, did not take advantage of, which is a voluntary agreement. When you applied for your license here in Muskegon Heights, that said that if you were awarded the license, you would contribute at least $22,000 at a minimum to good causes, community causes, city causes here in
Right.
Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things together, the 40% watermark
Right.
and the MyVita project, I think distinguish what we did from other communities across the state and the country, quite frankly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, not a lot. Just it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have that. It's a lot of work. So I leave one job and go to there and work some more,
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of work of trying to get it going. So
Mm-hmm.
some people will see that once it's open, like, oh man, you did that. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work of
Yes. And
just
I
put.
know there
Mhm.
have been a lot of obstacles, and
Yes.
there were folks that said it would never happen, that it would never happen in Muskegon Heights. If it happened in Muskegon Heights, then it would uh, turn the community into a crime-ridden community, and all those fears, I think, have been set aside, and now we're on the verge of new business, new jobs,
Right.
economic development, improved businesses, improved structures, buildings that have been vacant for years and years and years
Yeah.
that are now, being revitalized,
Right.
resurrected.
Is that I got one of those buildings. It's
Right.
been vacant for a long time. I know over 20 something years. So
Hmm.
I know what you're saying with that one is uplifting the community.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's uplifting, and
Yes.
with the model lifting as we climb. I mean, this is lifting as you climb. You're lifting up the whole community, and I want to thank
Correct.
you
Uh,
for your history in Muskegon Heights, for your passion and desire to be part of the renaissance that's coming to Muskegon Heights, and the hard work, and not only of what's in front of you, but that's tangible, but all the intangibles associated with doubts and distractions that you had to fight through in order to get to this point. And I want you to know that we are behind you and supporting your success in the community.
I
So,
appreciate that.
all right.
Really do.
So, thank you. I want to thank you for coming out, and I want to welcome you to hang out with us for the rest of the show, because I would appreciate a longtime resident, your input in the rest of the show. I want to acknowledge Mr. Page. Thank you for chiming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we were able to get this topic as one of the highlights. And it's not a one-shot deal. I want to bring you back when you're getting ready to open up, and
Okay.
remind people, this
Yeah.
is where we were pointed, this is where we were going, and this is where we're at when it happens. So,
Okay.
um,
No
and
problem.
so, thank you for chiming in, Mr. Page. So now I'm going to move on to um, what's been in the press about. Well, actually, before we talk about buying a house, I want to go back and quickly talk about our council agenda. Because one of the comments that I got was that there were some people out in the community that really didn't know about the agenda and how the council meetings flow. And so I wanted to just quickly, briefly answer that question by letting you know that the council agendas are posted on the city website. They're typically out there on the website by Thursday of the week preceding the meeting. So this Thursday, you should find it out there. The meeting's on Monday. It starts off by the mayor calling the meeting to the order. Then we have any introductions or recognitions that we go through. Then there's a process of approving the agenda. And then and this is a part where people have gotten confused. There's an opportunity for public comment. And that opportunity for public comment is supposed to be focused on things that are on the agenda. So the council is about to consider items that are on the agenda. This is the opportunity for members of the public and the community, businesses, all of our stakeholders to say, I see this item on the agenda, and this item is important to me or valuable to me, and here are my comments about it, pro, con, or indifferent, or questions that you might have, so that the council can consider those comments and that input before they go through the process of considering those items and ultimately deciding on those items. So after that comment period, then we go into an update on COVID, and this has been on our agenda since COVID started, just to tell us where we're at. Are there any critical issues that we need to be aware of? Has anything happened on a national or regional, local level that our community needs to be aware of with regard to COVID? Typically, this update is done by our chief of the fire department, Christine. We've had also the director of the health department, Kathy Moore, as a guest to come in and give us an update from the county perspective. But it's good information, and that is available at this part of the agenda. Then we go through old business. If there's anything that's unresolved from the previous meeting, that's when it's addressed. And then we go into what's called new business, which is considering the new items that are on the agenda. And each item is numbered, and the council has a chance to go in and talk about discuss these items one by one. And then I'm going to come back to that. And then after that, we go into information only, which is typically reports of any nature from staff, council committee reports, and we have a standing item on the agenda for a discussion around how to generate more income to be able to address the structural deficit that is in our budget between our expenses and what our revenues are. And so that's the general flow of the council agenda. We have two different types of council meetings. The second Monday of the month is what's called the work session, which is more focused on the first introduction of items, the exploration questions, drilling in, research on the particular items. And so council members get their packet on Tuesday or Wednesday preceding the meeting on Monday. They get a chance to ask questions of the city manager or staff through the city manager on those items. And then on Monday in a public forum, get to discuss those questions, those answers in the work session. Council has the authority to conduct business, but typically it's focused on research and investigation, question and answer for the work session. And then 2 weeks later, on the fourth Monday of the month, we have what's called the business session. And the business session is focused on making a final decision on those items that were discussed at the work session. So you have about a week before the item is discussed in public forum. Then you have 2 weeks for council to do any additional follow-up, question and answer. And then the business session is supposed to be focused primarily on, let's make a decision, here's the decision. And it should not include rehashing the question and answers that were supposed to occur during the work session. So that's the general flow that most councils go through between a work session and a business session. You try to do all your question and answer in the work session. And that's why typically the business session is a much shorter meeting, because you have almost 3 weeks to do investigation, questions and answers, get facts and figures addressed, and then you come back in the business session and you make your final determination. Is it voted up or is it voted down? So just to help answer some of the questions that I got during the week, that's the way the council agendas typically work. How's that sound, D'Artagnan?
Oh yeah, it sounds very good.
Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been my life for 20 some odd years. So, but for not, it's not been the case for everybody, and so
Yeah.
it's always helpful to go back and talk about it because it's not good to assume that everybody knows or understands, and so it's always good to be able to open it up and have a conversation about it and refresh it.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I want to move into talking about who wants to buy a house. So, I don't know if did you catch any of the article that came out about new houses in Muskegon Heights?
Yes, yes. I seen getting ready
Mhm.
to build. So
Okay.
yes, I do. I have caught it,
Hmm.
and what I really agree because I work downtown and I
Hmm.
see houses popping up all over the place down
Hmm.
here, and I'm glad that it's finally coming to my part of town.
There you go. That's right. And a lot, and I heard back from people outside of Muskegon Heights who, and some folks in Muskegon Heights that didn't realize that it's been almost 18 years since we really built a significant number of new houses in
Right.
Muskegon Heights. That weren't. I mean, we did have, I think, three homes that were HUD homes that were built in 2014.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of a private builder, developer coming in and building multiple houses, that has not happened since 2004, which I think was the end of the Woodcliff project, right?
Yes, yes, it
Right.
was,
Mhm.
and it's way overdue.
There you go.
Way overdue.
Yeah. And you probably heard me before. The listeners probably have heard me say this before. Our community was built. The formula was, you got 5,000. Here's the infrastructure for 5,000 homes.
Hmm.
We put the pipes in the ground. We put the sewer and the water. We put the storm drains in the ground. We have a filtration plant to supply the water. We have electrical in place
Hmm.
to be all that. The cost of all that, capital investment has to be maintained. And in order to maintain it, we have to have at least, and not to mention
Yeah.
the curbs, and the sidewalk. To be able to maintain that, you have to have a minimum of 5,000 homes, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's just like Domino is saying, all right, for me to be able to pay my rent, to pay for the building, I've got to deliver X number of pizzas every day or per month in order to be able to pay my bills.
That's
We
right.
have to have at least 5,000 homes in order to generate the revenue to be able to maintain this whole system.
Hmm.
And right now we only have 3,700 homes.
Yeah.
So no wonder it's difficult for us to be able to generate the revenue to pay the bills, to keep the lights on, to keep the building maintained, to keep the roads paved, to keep the water system functioning,
Hmm.
because we're missing 1,300 homes.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you
That's
say
the
it's
key.
about time,
Yeah, it's about time.
that's right.
That's
So every single hole that we dig and house that we build and family that we put in there is one step towards getting us out of this cycle of not having enough revenue to be able to pay the bills. So
that's right.
I'm excited. So we've got 1,000 vacant lots to work with. We've torn down 400, 500 homes in the last 5 or 6 years, from what I've told, and
Right.
now it's time for us to start building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question to the listeners now is, who wants to buy a house? Because you saw in the paper, you saw in the press interviews, it's coming. We had 17 lots that were just uh, closed on out of the 29 that the council approved. The balance will be done at a later date, but these
Hmm.
houses are getting ready to start. And if you want to get one of those houses, you need to start signing up today.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Don't
And
wait till
so
the end.
we're getting calls from many different directions, including Grand Rapids, people that went to the Heights, graduated from the Heights, that are living
Uh,
out there. When can I look at one of those homes? When can I look at the design?
hmm.
So today, I'm saying to everybody out there in the community, You need to call in and get on the list if you are interested in buying one of these first 17 homes out of the gate. So you don't want to get caught at the back of the line. So, yeah.
That's
But
right.
so can't say I didn't warn everybody. It's out there. Now's the time to sign up if you're interested in being one of those people to buy the house. But here's the question I throw to you, Dartanya.
Mm.
What kind of house would you like to see? Would you like to buy? Would you like to see in Muskegon Heights?
Well, I'm gonna start in the inside. So, open
Hmm.
floor plan
Okay.
with at least 2 bathrooms in them. So,
Hmm.
maybe to see a couple of ranch style houses,
Hmm.
But the main thing is the open floor plan.
Hmm.
Um, when you start seeing open floor plans, I think that's the selling point right there. You can
Right.
walk through the front door and see all the way through the house.
Right.
That's big.
And you said 2 bathrooms, right?
Yes, at least 2 bathrooms.
Okay. Now
Mhm.
we had a lot of research done on this issue about what homes, what the demand is, and that was part of the $80,000 study that the Treasury Office paid for us to do, and so we kind of got a sense based on what big data says we should be looking at, and that's the study that came back and said that we could build 175 homes in Muskegon Heights and not meet the demand that they see for homes in Muskegon Heights.
Mhm.
175. So we're starting out the gate with 17. So, or 17 lots that hopefully will translate into 17 homes here in the year. But when the demand is 175 and you're starting out with 17, you can see supply and demand is going to be fighting.
Yeah, that's right. Got to get in
Right.
line quick.
Yeah. So one of the questions that comes up, you mentioned open floor plan, 2 bathrooms. How about bedrooms? Are you, feeling 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms? What do you
Well,
think?
it's got to be the 3 to 4 bedrooms.
Hmm.
Because you got to open it up and
Right.
basement.
Hmm.
A lot of
Oh,
people love
you
love
hit
that.
on the pain point right there.
Yeah.
Basement, no basement. Basement, no basement. People are getting ready to go to the mat over that issue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, some with basement, some without, some
Hmm.
without. There's a
You're
lot of
you're a basement guy, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
All
love.
right.
That's the man cave.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there's 3 bedrooms and
Hmm.
3 to 4 bedrooms and like I said, two bathrooms or
Hmm.
2 bathrooms and a half, something
Right.
like that, and that's the selling point there. An open
Okay.
floor plan with two bathroom and a half one,
Hmm.
and that's a selling point. Hmm.
Uh, I'm going to jump to this since you mentioned the basement. So, if you had a house with all of that, and it was say $150,000, and it didn't have a basement, and they came back and said, "All right, if you want us to add a basement, it's going to be 170,000
Hmm.
uh, for that new house." Would you say that $20,000 extra is important enough for the man cave?
Well, yes and no. It depends on who it is. To me, it's yes.
Right. All right. Now, is that before you open the micro business or after you open the micro business?
Well, before,
Okay. All right.
because I'm a working man, so I can afford it.
I
So,
got you. I got you. Hmm. All
yeah.
right. So then the next question is 1 car garage versus 2 car garage, because I'm from Florida and I have learned the value of having a garage when the winter hits.
Yes.
See, Florida garage is just a nice place to store stuff. It's not like life changing, critical, that whole deal. Like here, you
Right.
know, either you got to have a garage or a automatic starter or both. So
Yeah. Well, me is a double stall garage. So
double stall. Okay, two
yeah,
car
double
garage.
stall garage.
Hmm.
You know, if we building houses, and just for me to be the double stall, but if we
Hmm.
building houses, some of them can be singles.
Hmm.
You know, single garages, but the double stall always work.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. Good deal. And um, so are you big yard, little yard? I mean, you like the front porch kind of action, or you like to have all of your action facing the backyard?
Well, a lot of action is facing the backyard,
Hmm.
but I do have a big yard. I have a big yard now. I stay
Okay.
in Woodcliff,
Okay. All
so
right.
and then I bought the lot next to me, so
Okay.
I have a lot of yard.
Okay. A lot of mowing, but I guess that when it's right, it comes in handy, huh?
Right, that's right.
Okay. All right. And I know some folks today are trying to get away from maintaining yards, and less yard
Yes,
is, for some people, but it's all a matter of your choice, and that's why you go and look for the house that fits, who you are.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
in 25 years, you might not want to be mowing that long.
That's true. That is
Right.
true now.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yes, people don't want all that yard.
right. And that's
Mhm.
why I think, what we have here is a gold mine, because we've got 1,000 opportunities to provide a variety of spaces for people, to, like I said, serve from cradle to grave. You can grow up in the Heights, you can go away to college, come back and get a starter spot, whether it's apartment, a condo,
Mhm.
you get married, have, your first kid, maybe it's a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, you move
Yeah.
from a loft to a 2 bedroom. And then, if you want to then branch out and get a big yard, you can do that. You should be able to do that here in Muskegon Heights.
Yes. Yes, you should.
Right. And then maybe you have a big family, and years down the road, you want to downsize, but you don't want to go into a condo because you don't want to have to deal with next door neighbors,
Right.
and the noise up from upstairs.
Yeah.
Right. Or making noise for the people downstairs, so maybe you want to downsize and go to, a single, 2 bedroom instead of,
Yes.
4 bedroom. And
Hmm.
so what we have the opportunity here, which is unique of all the communities around us, is to begin to build that variety and that range to be able to serve the people of Muskegon Heights from beginning to end.
Right.
That's what I think is fantastic about where we are now. I keep saying that we're midway between Grand Rapids and the beach. And what you can buy here, you can save yourself $100,000, $200,000. If you work in Grand Rapids, I'd rather have you work here in Muskegon Heights. But if you work in Grand Rapids, that's a 40-minute ride,
Right.
and then you're 10 minutes away from the beach, and 2 minutes away from Mona Lake Park. So we're in the prime position once we start to build, that product and that variety.
Correct. Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And now it's just time of telling people. I said in the show last week, I said, if you want to buy a lot, now is the time to buy a lot, because those lots are going fast. You just gotta, if you're going to buy one, you gotta be committed to building on it within 3 years. The
Right.
lots are $100 a lot. You have to prepay the taxes on it. Out the door, it's about $500 to $600 once you pay the taxes and the fees associated with it. But that's not going to be the case for long, especially when we start digging these holes for these new houses.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah. The price of the lot's going to go up.
right, that's right. I mean, the first 200, I'm holding down at $100 a lot. But
Hmm.
after we hit that 200 mark, then we're bumping up to $500 a lot.
Hmm.
When we hit that 400 mark, it'll be $1,000 a lot. Right.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's what where we're at now. That might be accelerated. It might
Right.
be, you know, so that all depends on the demand. So
Yes.
if you know anybody who is thinking about it and they're on the fence, I'm
Yeah.
telling everybody now is the time to make that happen, because You don't want to be, like my old shop teacher used to say, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
It doesn't get you an A, and it might not get you anything better than a D. So
Right.
the difference between success and failure is woulda, coulda, shoulda. So
Yeah, that's
you
right.
never want to be standing there on the side saying, "Wow, I could have, I should have, but I didn't." So
Right.
can't say that we didn't tell them, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's
right.
right. All right, that's what's good. So we're going to continue to talk about it. Please call 733-8870 if you're interested on getting on the list to be one of the first people to purchase these new houses that are coming out. Just to keep in mind, it's a 3 to 6 month process if you want to go through the credit repair process so that you can get the maximum value from your home with the lowest interest rate. We need to make sure that you're prepared. And so we want to get you started through that process to begin with. And we're really focused on building that bridge for those people who are renting to being homeowners, because that's how we build wealth in the community while we're also creating a tax base. That tax base serves the whole community, but we want to make sure that we're building wealth for the people who live in this community so that they have that opportunity to be able to transition that wealth to the next generation. And so that bridge is the down payment assistance and the credit repair, taking advantage of the low interest rates while they last here in Muskegon Heights with this whole plan and program to build. And I want to give a special thanks to the efforts of the Laudermill Group for stepping out there and taking the lead and pulling together a magnificent team from realtor to sale, from developer to builder, the whole 9 yards, to be able to offer that program that the city is requiring to be able to build that bridge from rental to homeowner. Because when we go from being 55, 56, some people say 60% renter occupied, down to 40% renter
Yeah.
occupied,
Hmm.
that's going to be a huge change in the way our community looks.
That's right.
Right.
Hmm.
So buy your lots, get them while you can. You got to build in 3 years. You got to maintain the lot. If you don't maintain, if you don't build, then you lose the lot. So, but if you're ready, if you're ready, get your lot now, $100 a lot. You got to build in 3 years. You got to prepay your taxes for those 3 years, and you're good to go. And if you're ready to buy a new built home, please call us at City Hall 733-8870 so that you can get on the list to be one of the people to have the first shot at getting one of these brand new houses in Muskegon Heights, and with the garage, with the basement, with an open floor plan, at least 2 bathrooms.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. So thank you so much, Dartanya, for hanging out with us today and being part of our small business spotlight. I'm looking forward to having you come back, and I appreciate you being part of the show. And special thanks to all the viewers that logged on and the people who are listening on the radio for joining us at Reaching New Heights with Troy Bell, the city manager, City of Muskegon Heights, where you get to know what you need to know so you'll be in the know.
That's right.
Be blessed. 103.
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I